Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson and I'm focused on spreading magic by discussing Disney, DreamWorks, and animation. And today I want to explain why I believe Fiona should have become Queen of Far, Far Away. After growing up a princess, getting the chance to see her as a warrior and taking on the role of a leader, I want to understand why she would give up that responsibility. Why is Fiona not Queen? And of course, if you are new to the channel and you'd like to join this wonderful and positive community of animation fans, then consider subscribing. For Fiona's entire life, she was preparing for the day where her spell would be lifted. She could leave her tower and go live her life again as a princess. Harold and Lillian had instilled in her that she was destined to marry her true love and live out her happily ever after. And I had always interpreted that meant that Fiona would become queen because of her interactions with the villains of Shrek 2. The whole reason the fairy godmother and Charming had focused on Charming marrying Fiona was because she was the next in line to rule. And what this showed me was that regardless of who Fiona married, she was destined to take that place as a leader of her family's ancestral home. It didn't matter if she would have married Farquaad, Charming, or an ogre named Shrek. Fiona was meant to lead Far, Far Away.
You and Fiona are next in line for the throne.
We also know that Fiona is deeply invested in her family's kingdom as well, even though she wasn't super interested in keeping ancient traditions alive or preserving expectations that were placed upon her. Fiona was kind of a rebel in that way, but she was passionate about who would guide Far, Far Away after her father's death. She didn't need to preserve Far, Far Away as it was, but continue to allow it to grow.
Who cares who's running the kingdom anyway?
I care.
Fiona took pride in Far, Far Away and would do anything to protect it, as we saw in Shrek the Third and Shrek Forever After. When Charming took over the kingdom, she helped rally the other princesses to fight back against the unhinged, while gorgeous man. He had definitely fell into the deep end without his mummy, but Fiona wouldn't let him take down her kingdom with him. And when her parents are magically removed from existence by Rumpelstiltskin and her home falls, she leads the other ogres to rebel against him. When Fiona was removed from the pressures of her princess life, she had an inherent desire to fight for those who couldn't and to do what was right. Fiona had a pure heart and an ability to inspire others to stand up for what was right. But all of this characterization of Fiona kind of makes it disappointing when we see that Fiona is willing to give up the throne when Shrek feels resistant to take on the position of king. It almost feels like Shrek is being super selfish for not taking that role. I'd always thought that Far, Far Away was Fiona's legacy.
I am an ogre. I'm not cut out for this, Fiona, and I never will be.
For some reason, Fiona seemed so willing to let go of control of her kingdom. I always just felt baffled that she was so willing to step away. I think it's fantastic that she wanted to be Shrek's wife and ogre mother and was happy, but it felt like there was still so much for her to do in Far, Far Away. But over time, I kind of realized that she was never actually meant to get the throne. After looking through all of the Shrek films a lot, I came to understand that only kings could lead Far, Far Away. When Harold dies, Lillian doesn't become the sole sovereign, even though she was the one who was born into the royal line. What that means is that the power is centralized in this kingdom to whoever is crowned as king, which really makes Charming's desire to marry Fiona become even clearer. Becoming Fiona's husband didn't make him a partner to Fiona when it came to ruling the land. It would have given him full control over the kingdom. And that makes Harold's deal with the fairy godmother all the more despicable. He gave away the kingdom of Lillian's family so that he could be with her. This understanding that Far, Far Away could only be controlled by a king also explained why Shrek was so resistant to accepting the duties that were before him when Harold passed on. Shrek would have had all of the responsibility of Far, Far Away.
Shrek? Maybe you should just stay and be king.
Oh, come on. There's no way I could ever run a kingdom.
When I first heard those lines recently, I just didn't understand because in my mind, of course Shrek wouldn't have to run the kingdom. Why would anyone expect him to do that when Fiona had been preparing her whole life to be a knowledgeable, tough, and intelligent leader? I went into this discussion just wanting to explain why I didn't think the ogre couple should have given up Far, Far Away, but as I continued to look into the structure of the royal family, I started to see that there was not a place for Fiona to lead. It seemed like Fiona's options were to either force Shrek to take on the responsibilities that he never desired to have, or let go of the kingdom so that her cousin could reign. There wasn't a way for her to become a powerful queen and let Shrek and the children live out in a nearby swamp to the castle. I mean, at least in my mind, this seems like the best of both worlds. Shrek can be gross and have his swamp, and Fiona can continue to make sure that her kingdom continues to flourish. But the truth is that Far, Far Away failed to give Fiona a chance, and that just absolutely frustrates me. Clearly, Fiona has always been so capable with a mastery of martial arts like her mother and her ferocity to fight against villains, but she was guided to fall in line, and personally, I don't think she should have.
It was a mistake to bring Shrek here. We're gonna go back to the swamp where we belong.
Maybe King Arthur will be able to bring Far, Far Away to thrive, but I just don't think he will change the kingdom like Fiona could. Sure, Artie will likely have his moments. He was able to reform many bad guys to go down a new path, but I still feel like Fiona could have truly brought Far, Far Away into a new age. Shrek and Fiona have faced people who have wanted to conform the world to be perfect, convinced magical individuals to clash against people, and who are willing to manipulate everyone they can through the allure of their magic. There was a divide between humans and fairy tale creatures, and I think Fiona could have united both groups because she lived within both of them. She was from the traditional royal world, but was cursed to take on a mystical form that better represented who she was. Fiona had the knowledge on how to be proper, diplomatic, and responsive, while also liking morning breath a little too much, enjoying the occasional fart in the mud bath, and loving the chaotic life living with ogres. I just feel like Fiona could have changed Far, Far Away for the better, unlike everyone else who was in line to take the throne. I desperately wish that Harold would have passed on the power of the crown to his daughter. I wish that Shrek and Fiona's descendants could have continued to take on the responsibilities as leaders of that kingdom. I wish the precedent that had been set would have been changed to allow Fiona to rise as the rightful queen, because personally I think she could have changed her family's kingdom for the better. But let me know down below what your thoughts and theories are surrounding whether or not Fiona should rule Far, Far Away. Also make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen. Finally, as always, thanks for watching and have a magical day.